The Prison City Podcast will be starting shortly. Please take a moment to acknowledge the following sponsors of the Prison City Podcast, the best podcast on planet Earth. Cutler Brothers Productions, located in downtown Dearborn, is the best theater you'll ever see in your entire life. We have a special performance of Sweeney Todd is now here playing live every weekend, Friday and Saturday at 7:30 p.m., Sunday at 2 p.m. Get your tickets at cutlerbros.com. Once again, Sweeney Todd, the Demon of Barber of Fleet Street. Matt is the tech lighting booth for that, so that guy does that stuff. So check out Sweeney Todd at cutlerbrothers.com. Get your tickets now and see the best fucking show on planet Earth. Cuts by Cuts Productions by Matthew Cutler. He takes your old VHS tapes or Super 8s or whatever, puts them in his digital machine, sets the fucking thing on fire, and you can watch your old VHS tapes burn to the ground. Cuts by Cuts by Matt Cutler. Just kidding, folks. He takes your old memories, your DVD memories, anything you want, you can put on DVD. Take a VHS, put it on DVD, take a Super 8 film, whatever you want. Cuts by Cuts, there's a phone number right there if you ever want to transfer your old memories to a digital format. Cuts by Cuts by Matthew Cutler. Das Fruit Improv Comedy, possibly the best and funniest improv comedy team on planet Earth, is looking for new bookings for the 2022 season. Go to dasfruit.com if you want to book the funniest fucking improv team on motherfucking planet Earth. Das Fruit. If it's not funny, then at least you'll get offended. Pat Cutler's TikTok, ladies and gentlemen, is fucking exploding, so please get on there and help support underprivileged kids, as that is his sole mission in life. Pat Cutler, Patrick W. Cutler TikTok, check it out. The best TikTok shit you'll ever see in your life. The best horror film you'll ever see in your entire life. Redgate is officially released August 26th. SecretofRedgate.com. Check it out. Fuck Pat Cutler. He's nothing but a sexist piece of shit. Fuck that guy. Make sure to check out Kelly Cutler's YouTube channel, The Kelly Cutler Show, a true documentation of everything that happens behind Cutler Brothers scenes and everything from the recent wedding episode, the roast of Matt Cutler, everything you want to know about Cutler Brothers Productions. Check out The Kelly Cutler Show on YouTube. It's almost football season, folks, so make sure you support Mahomes and those Nebraska Cornhuskers that he works so hard for every day. Mahomes, we really want you to win this year with Nebraska. Hopefully Scott Frost does not get fired. So get out there and support those Cornhuskers, folks. Yeah, go Cornies. Ladies out there, I now present you a picture of God himself.
I understand there's no good segue from what he just said.
Just be professional. Text me back whenever I message you. Show me your tits.
Once again, there it goes.
This disease or that disease or aliens coming down and taking over.
No shit.
I got hot milk in my area. One to bed.
Sexual experience.
No, you don't know Pat well enough. I can see how someone might be like, fuck this guy. Why is he saying that to me?
Oh no, she's out.
Gee, what the fuck?
But we are certainly not back on track.
No, you guys were acting like you couldn't hear a word I was saying.
He told me I shouldn't park in a handicapped spot, and that was his response.
Oh, then I think maybe I can't with you, man. You can't tell me that you're all pissed at someone when you hit him with that stuff.
And this all happened in 10 minutes? No wonder she got offended.
Did you just yes and that shit? Yes and?
They're so fucking worthless.
Welcome to the Prison City Podcast. When the bars go up, you're officially locked in.
Welcome back, you stupid motherfuckers that still watch this shitty ass show. This is the Prison City Podcast, folks. We are fucking back live. We had a 10-day break there after a big episode we had like 10 days ago. We had a month-long break, but I think our breaks are up. Finally, we're going to at least be doing something every single week, hopefully. Maybe not. I'm not sure there. But we should be back on track. We should be back on the old track here tonight, and should be a fun show. I just got back from Milwaukee, dropped my kids off. They went back to Pittsburgh. The summer's busy as fuck. So hopefully things are getting good. We have Sweeney Todd is going on right now. This weekend, we had the crunch week of Sweeney Todd. That's why we had to squeeze in this episode on a Monday, because the rest of the week looks pretty unpredictable. A lot of things going on there. Next door at the theater, Cutler Brothers Theater. Check it out, Sweeney Todd this weekend. And tonight we're going to talk the 48 Laws of Power, and that was going to be the main discussion. But right before this podcast was going to air this morning, I got some news that talking about the Prison City podcast. We live in a prison town. If you haven't followed that by now, it's a prison city in Deer Lodge, Montana, home of the Montana State Prison. And again, this morning I got some news that came across my desk that they are actually now thinking about moving the Montana State Prison out of Deer Lodge to a different location. So I guess with that, I'll just straight go first up the bat as usual. Mahomes, what do you think about that? Fuck.
I think that could very well be the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I mean, I've heard some dumb stuff. That's right up there, but it's a great way to like make Deer Lodge a ghost town if that's what they're looking for. Like maybe thinking they'll get more tourism because those ghost towns do pretty well in Montana. So maybe that's the idea, is to have it go from like 2,000 people down to like just the Cutler brothers. But that if that's what they're looking to do, that'd be cool. It would be the Cutler brothers and the bakery, Louis Pasties. Something tells me we still have that demo derby. Fucking stupid, really dumb.
Yeah, it's really fucking stupid. Kelly, what do you think about it?
Yeah, it's I don't really pay too much heed to rumors until something actually comes of it, so I'm not too concerned. But Mahomes, can we not talk about the Derby? Can we just not go there?
Sorry, it's the whole fair weekend. I would say it's the jewel event of the fair weekend that we can all agree on. The rodeo's cool, but it's no demo derby.
I did my homework. Pat gave me this for Christmas, I think 2 years ago. So I did my homework, and I've been reading this all the last 2 days whenever we decide we're going to do this episode. So excited to talk about the 48 Laws of Power. But yeah, as far as the prison is concerned, I don't really worry too much about rumors. But then again, kind of a highfalutin person in town also told me that rumor probably over a year ago, before like any of this came out today or the last couple of days. So maybe there is some truth to it. They yanked the DMV out of here, and most people, just say, oh, that's not really a big deal. But I mean, it cost the town, 20, 25 jobs. That's pretty fucking big for Deer Lodge. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were talking, if they were talking about something, even if it is a stupid idea or whatnot, doesn't mean it's not going to happen at some point.
Yeah. I'd like to add on to what Mahomes was saying there about Cutler brothers being the last surviving thing. Me and Kelly, in a long sense, in a long play here, I would say is like, I think one of our goals, we haven't stated out loud, is to be the main economic force in Deer Lodge and really have a film studio and a lot of things going on. So maybe this is our chance to kind of like save the town. But, even with that said, it's like, fuck, like the prison's been here forever. There's a lot of people that I know, some part of the boycott back and other movement, that actually work out there. That's their full-time income, is working at the prison. So if they do fucking move the prison, you're going to see a lot of people that we personally know be like, okay, well, where the fuck am I going to work now?
Yeah, it would be very tragic for the town. But as far as for Cutler Brothers Productions, I've said this for years since we've opened. I was like, man, we have like 100, 120 like big time fans in this town. Other than that, they are all tourists. They all come from out of town. The prison museum's not going anywhere. So Cutler Brothers Productions, to sound maybe for selfish reasons or whatever, is not going to be affected by any move of this nature.
And with that said, Matt, I was going to wait to the 30-minute mark to bring you on. We'll bring you on now. Matt, welcome to the show.
I got my orange juice, got my vodka.
Oh, fuck.
Life is good. We can do a podcast with Jeff, Steve, and Rico down there. And Kelly, your fucking hair looks like fucking Wolverine, man. The fuck, are you in a look-alike contest or something?
Well, it's definitely not because I just had sex with my wife. That's not the reason. We can just be honest here.
Well, that's good. I'm glad we're honest.
So, not to get off track here already, but is the Demolition Derby happening this August? That's not happening, is it?
No,
Highly doubtful.
no.
Really?
Well, I mean, are you guys getting feedback on your end, or is that just me?
I'm getting it too. Yeah. As soon as Matt started talking, his audio is not great.
Oh, I'll just mute Matt for a second. Is your audio? Yeah, let me see now. Now it's okay. Now try it.
Yeah,
Jimmy,
check.
You have any headphones, Matt? Do you have any headphones at all? Because otherwise, there's gonna be feedback.
I got some headphones downstairs. Maybe I can grab them. But yeah, we need to do something there because every week it seems like there's a little bit of feedback. And I can hear Matt yelling from the other room.
Yep, and he's off. All right.
All right. Well, where were we?
The demo derby.
Yeah,
This has gotten quite awkward.
I don't understand. Like, just laying there, like, how does the tech guy for Cutler vs. Theater have like the worst tech issues every single fucking episode?
Oh, fuck me in the ass.
All his good tech is at the theater. That's why.
I've had a set of headphones though on my desk, like sitting right there. I've been meaning to give to him. It's like a USB type headset I found the other day. I've been meaning to give that to him just to he just messaged or whatever. I'm just gonna close my messenger. But I've been meaning to give him a headset because I don't know what his audio, his mics. He doesn't have a mic on there. The computer is shit, and if he doesn't have headphones, like I said, you're gonna get a lot of feedback if you're just using like a corny ass computer or whatever.
Yeah.
So, anyways, about that Demolition Derby.
Yeah, I don't think it's happening. I haven't heard they've been doing like a fight night on Thursdays and shit for the last couple of years, but I don't know if they're doing that this year. I haven't heard anything about the fair, honestly. The Demo Derby, everyone knows what happened. What was that, 3 years ago?
Have they not done one since?
Yeah, 3 years ago.
They haven't done one since. I mean, they talked about doing them. They talked about other people doing them, other people producing them. The Chamber of Commerce definitely, I was on the Chamber of Commerce for a while and definitely took a step backwards, out of that thing, which is probably smart. But I don't know. I hope that it comes back because that was such a huge thing for the town. And I mean, you can't, as tragic as it was, you can't assume that this is the only demo derby that's had an incident like that. I'm sure it happens all the time. It's fucking cars going as fast as they can, ramming into each other. I'm sure there's been all kinds of tragedies, but that's kind of the thrill of going to a demo derby, is like, this is cars smashing into each other and this is a dangerous, type of thing. So I hope it comes back sooner than later.
I mean, I wasn't joking. It was easily the biggest event in town every single year. That had to be a good moneymaker for the town. And yeah, it was tragic and terrible, and you wouldn't wish that on anybody. But there's also inherent risk with that whole event. Yeah. I mean, I get why it's not going to be backed by the city anymore because they want to. It's CYA sort of thing, but hopefully they can find a way to bring it back. I guess I was kind of under the impression I haven't been in Deer Lodge for fair weekends a long, long time. But for whatever reason, I thought they had brought it back last year.
Yeah. No, it's gone. But I don't know if we're here to talk about the demo derby or the bowling alley. What should we talk about, Pat?
All right, let's get back to the Montana State Prison movement. We're going to go to an article from the Deer Lodge News Network here that was published today. We'll just talk about this article. And this kind of gives a little bit of the background of it. Basically, Kelly's right. There's been rumors about it for a while, but now those rumors are starting to gain some more traction lately. And basically, this was brought up at a city county council type meeting last Wednesday here in Deer Lodge. And it was brought up, and this is kind of what they said about it. So a lot of rumors, like here, it starts out the year's 2027. Is there going to be a beautiful golf course there or a lake where they can fish and stuff? And a lot of people have said that Rock Creek Cattle Company, with the out of town employees, a certain amount of people or whatever. They have a nice golf course out there, and a lot of people said Rock Creek might be putting in a bid. Owner of Rock Creek owns the Vegas Knights, so he would have plenty of money to buy the land out by the prison. So a lot of people are that was one of the rumors going by, but the discussion took place again last week. The mayor, I think, moving the prison out of town would be devastating. Talking about measures that can be advocated for retaining the prison. Yeah, and I think these are just rumors right now, I would say, but here's a photo really. What the F? Okay, here's a photo really quick. We have moved to a new location. They just put that up on their website.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Is this? I guess I don't know how the city council works there, but like, is it serious enough to talk about? Have they actually like reached out to anyone in the state government, or is this just like someone brought the rumor up at the city council and then they were like, well, we need to talk about this?
Well, someone brought it up at the city council is what happened. Let me go through here again.
Well, who I heard it from is probably in the know, compared to most people. And he didn't say it's true or whatever. And this was a year ago, but he just said the prison, they're not, and I've heard this from a couple different people, they're not like rebuilding shit, shit gets old, you got to rebuild, your fucking infrastructure and stuff. And they're just kind of letting it fall apart almost on purpose. And again, I don't know how true it is. I'm just kind of regurgitating what I heard. But yeah, if they're not trying to put any money into it or whatever, then maybe they are looking at, doing something different.
For whatever reason, the last governor started really slashing budget to the prison, and I know that seems like an easy thing to do. But guess what? That needs money. Like, if you want the worst of the worst behind bars, you better like fork up some dough to make sure they have proper safety, proper things to like actually keep those people locked up and then hopefully rehabilitated. It's not like barbaric. It's not just, throw them in a chamber and
rehabilitated, Mahoney. That's a bullshit word.
Okay, Red.
It's a bullshit word.
Well, Pat, or both of you, I guess, I got a question though. Like, how like they're trying to, it just seems like everything's going to the bigger metropolitan areas, the cities, they have all the stores and everything. And it's like they're forgetting, just like everything in life, they're forgetting about the small businesses, small cities. Is that the case where it's just like, well, fuck Deer Lodge, we put this in Billings or Great Falls or Bozeman or something, and it's going to bring all those freaking jobs to these places and just make them even more of a metropolitan city area. And the little towns, kind of fuck them. Do you think that has anything to do with
that? That might have a little bit to do with it, but here's the problem that this wasn't quoted in the article, is that another person there brought up the point where it's like, here's a reality. No town, like a thriving, place like Bozeman, there's no way they want the fucking Montana State Prison in their backyard.
No one wants it. Like, we got it because no one wanted it back when we were just a territory. Like, it wasn't like some big honor,
Yeah. I mean, look, we had the highest populated Class B school forever, but couldn't do shit in hardly any sports because, it brings in so much trash.
well, what if they put it like 30 miles outside of Billings or something? I mean, what's it really matter when they have the women's prison over there? Does it really matter that they bring in another prison? I mean, yeah, I can see community members not liking it, but the revenue-wise is huge for. Obviously, it's the thing that's keeping this community afloat for the most part.
Yeah, but I would say like Mahoney's just talked about like the fucking money and stuff. Well, how much fucking money is it going to take to relocate an entire fucking prison?
A lot. Like, a lot. Not only are you going to have to build a brand new facility that's up to date, you are then going to have to transfer all of these guys. And there's some of them that are in max that need to be transferred alone. And that's expensive.
Yeah, but they've been saving for 20 years, though, not rebuilding the prison infrastructure and paying their employees jack shit, They've been saving to do this move. I don't think it's a rumor anymore. I'm just joking.
Well, I'm telling you that they're not saving. the state government is deciding that that's the place they can cut funds because they're only prisoners, like, no, you're cutting funds from the people that work there. You're cutting funds for them. Like, if they don't have the proper stuff, it's not safe to work there.
Well, what's scary, man, is like, I know a lot of people who work out the prison too, and it's like $18 an hour. I'm not sure, which was a good wage, 15 years ago. But now, man, these are people that are protecting us from society's worst. And I'm like, I'm willing to pay a couple extra bucks in taxes to build a prison system that can be manned by like a one cage thing or one guy in the cage, like the maximum security, or to appropriately staff this facility. Because every time I ask someone, they're like, oh, we're 80 people short. I'm like, that's kind of a big fucking deal.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what I think people maybe don't fully understand is this is fully government funded. This isn't a private prison like they have up in Shelby or there's other ones out, like I think there's one in Miles City. This isn't that. This is straight from, you go and the warden goes every time they have legislature and like has to go and present the budget and then have to defend the budget. And what they've done for the last probably 5-6 legislatures is cut the budget. And it's not like the warden goes there and is like, you know what? For transport, anytime we need to take them to the hospital, we actually wanted to upgrade from a Lincoln that's from the 80s to perhaps a Lamborghini. We just feel like that's necessary. So, and like I could go on and on about that whole thing because it's really stupid, but people should pay attention, like especially people in town should pay attention to the legislature. And specifically, this is why I don't want to get too into politics, but it is a huge political issue. Like the national elections don't really mean shit, but you need to pay attention, like vote local, because it doesn't matter if it's Donald Trump or Jesus Christ. Like that's it. That government's going to run itself. We have no control over it. Don't act like, never think that you do. But if you're not paying attention to the people that are voting for the stuff specifically that it impacts, like a small town Montana, like we grew up in,
right,
they've been absolutely, for lack of a better term, bending Deer Lodge over to put money elsewhere.
That's why I'm nervous about it, because I mean, the DMV didn't seem like a big deal to me or anybody else. But after it left, it was just like, and we fought for it. Our buddy Zhang was the mayor at the time. He went up there, he took his city council and a bunch of people from the community. He fought hard for that thing. And again, they just didn't give two shits. So that's the only thing that worries me is like, if they decide to move the prison in Deer Lodge, even if every single one of us was on the same page and protesting it or whatnot, I don't think they really give a shit. I think it's kind of out of our control, sadly.
And it's really, to Pat's point, like that's where you have to start to really question the local, like state government, because if they're not willing to fund what's already there, you don't need to rebuild it. It's already there. They need money to do repairs and to get better technology and whatever to keep the workers, the inmates, the town safe. But then if you're all of a sudden going to say, we're going to actually put this out just outside of, what's that town that's basically like Bozeman now?
Belgrade.
Belgrade. We'll just put this outside of Belgrade. Why? You're gonna have to build it. You're gonna probably have to spend money to buy land because it's already government land out. Like the money that they would have to pay to transport to I know the government hasn't been saving it. They've been spending on whatever the hell, like Schweitzer's greenhouse, whatever. There's no logical. You'd have a hard time explaining like the logic on it.
And that's what scares me. They're probably going to move it because there is no logic behind it. And when is there ever logic behind government decisions? I just feel like moving the prison should probably be in East Helena now. It just, there is no logic to it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of scary.
And it's just like, what, you're going to replace it with a fucking golf course for the wealthy? That's not going to do anything for the town.
Well, here's that on that point I was just going to bring up is like, okay, say they move it or whatever. Well, you got an entire fucking prison sitting there. How do you turn that into a golf course.
Well, and again, that's an expense. That's going to be very expensive to take down. There's a lot of equipment. There's like a ton of razor wire. You have a whole like death row. Like there's a place where they kill people's there. I
They're
don't
not
think I'd
gonna
want to
take
play.
it down, man.
I don't think I'd want to play like a cool back nine where people have been murdered. I don't know. Call me crazy.
And Chris, there's a suicide out there just recently they're investigating, actually. So, I mean, a lot of fucking people have died in that area.
Ton. Yeah.
That's not even counting like the natural deaths of people.
It makes no sense to me. Like, I'm not just being like saying hyperbole, being hyperbolic when I say it's the dumbest thing I've ever. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, it makes no sense. It would kill the town for sure. Yeah. And I don't know if that's like what the ultra billionaire wants to do, is just make it his own little like play area. But I don't see why anyone would ever want to like tear down a prison and then have like a resort where there's been riots and murders and rape. But whatever, I guess if you got money, you don't care.
Well, we all know from living in Deer Lodge is not like the easiest place to live or grow up or anything. I mean, we've made comments like that before. We're used to it because we grew up with it, but to put a prison in somebody new's backyard, that's just a different like thing, like to put in the back of somebody's mind. Oh my God, they just moved 1,500 fucking, inmates over there a mile away. It's just Deer Lodge is unique because of that prison,
Yeah.
And like, why now too? Like, it's been the home of the state prison since before it was a state. Why now? It's an election year.
That's the only reason.
It's so dumb. It's really, really dumb.
So I'm gonna go to one of the fucking questions here this is one of the things stated that wasn't included in that short article. Jesse Mullins, who runs the local Silver State Post here, suggested an article appeared in the Montana Standard a couple months ago could be fueling some of the rumors. The state superintendent of public safety gave an interview with the Montana Standard a couple months ago talking about the difficulty recruiting at the prison, how in the next 5 to 10 years it might think up an alternative plan. He specifically mentioned finding an area with a larger population base. So I did my homework here, and actually we can pull up that article. We can check that article out really quick. Here, it's actually just from like a month ago. Okay, I'll just check that out. Here's the article from a month ago. Workforce shortage remains a thorn inside of Montana State Prison. DOC officials spoke about retention and recruitment issues. Montana State Prison is like a city within itself, just like the outside world. Workforce struggles have impeded the prison's ability to run smoothly. From educators to correctional officers, 20% of the 328 correctional officer staff positions are unfilled. But just took that number, 328. This isn't like the DMV, which there's like 15, 20 people.
This is hundreds of families. And it's just so short-sighted to think that people like, we'll move this up to Great Falls. There's a bigger population. They can't. There's businesses in Great Falls that are closing because they can't get people to work. You think they're going to want to work at a fucking prison?
Oh, I was gonna say that too. Is like, yeah, you move to somewhere like Bozeman. There's jobs everywhere. A big population. Yeah, they want to work in a fucking prison when they have all these other opportunities. When there's a gigantic work shortage across the entire country, across the entire state, where they can't even get people to work at like fucking Town Pump or anywhere. The subway in town had to fucking close like multiple days a week because they couldn't get people to fucking work there. Now you think they're gonna like, oh yeah, I'll just drop everything, go work at the prison.
Yeah. I don't. That's another topic, but I don't understand the employee shortage. I tell everyone that. I'm just like, there's no more handouts. COVID is done. You're not. How are people living and eating and shit if they're not working? How is there an employee shortage right now? I don't fucking get that.
Neither do I. I mean, unless everyone has some sort of internet side hustle going. Like, I don't get it either.
Yeah, how can people just like there's a shortage of all these things of we're in a recession, yet job opportunities are through the fucking roof right now. It's like, how?
I had this dream once of the prison and that's what I was trying to say earlier about creating it like the maximum security. Yeah, it's going to cut down on jobs, but apparently that doesn't matter right now if there's 300 whatever positions open. But it's like, yeah, it would cost you hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe $1 billion or whatever. But we have the technology, don't we, where you can create an entire structure that is just like impenetrable, made out of steel, whatever. Put all that money into it, it'll last forever. And then you have a handful of employees and that's it. And they just are pressing buttons. Okay, Section 8, go to fucking lunch or whatever. You close it down just with the press of a button. Like, wouldn't that be worth it to drop $1 billion? Because we're probably dropping $1 billion through crumbling infrastructure and employee shortage anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But then that takes away the hundreds of families that work at the prison right now.
Well, I guess I'm just thinking like futuristic, it's like, when I hear people say there's no room, our prisons are overcrowded. I'm like, well, why don't we just take $1 billion that's going to be wasted somewhere else because that's all the government does is waste money and create that futuristic thing where you can employ a few people, but it's just, it serves the purpose it's supposed to serve,
Yeah, 100%.
Keeping us safe.
Yeah. So I'm gonna move. Here's where Jesse Malone put that point on. Jim Anderson took over as the DOC's Public Safety Bureau Chief in November as part of a reorganization of the department. Said DOC exploring multiple avenues to ease the staffing shortages, but no formal options have been presented. So again, these are just rumors. Obviously, they don't have. This is a month ago. They don't have formal options, but we're just recognizing in the future, next 5 to 10 years, we're going to have to do something, and so we're just starting to explore those options. So that's kind of open-ended. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to move it. One option to consider is building a new prison, erupting the current one. He said we could build a lot smarter prison for less staff, which goes back to what Kelly just said about upgrading technology, that you could update the current one and not necessarily need as much staff. So if you're 20% short on staff, that could be a possible answer to the problem here of not having enough staff. Obviously, on the focus on just trying to consolidate the efforts. For now, the focus is building on one good work already being done. I'm proud of the people that work in hard conditions. He pointed to a secret recent $2 raise for corrections officers as an example. We were able to get the pay bump. All right. So, anyways, that's kind of an overview. So, again, that just leaves the door open for a possible move, but that they didn't say anything within that article that said they have any formal plans to move it. But as you'll read in the next comments, we'll go through. Just because they don't say that doesn't mean that's what they're actually fucking doing.
It's just, again, it makes no sense. It's
all right. So, Mahomes, are you ready for your favorite part of the show? I got a little video graphic here to go to your favorite part of the show. Here we go. Let's play this graphic here really quick. The Facebook comment section.
oh,
All right.
that's our first official segment, and it's just you blasting people who post on social media. Like, not only do we not have viewers, one of the guys just fucking quit at the 10-minute mark.
That's our first official segment. Is a Facebook comment section. So these comments aren't remotely close to as bad as some of the previous comments we've gone through, which are pretty damn bad. We've had some terrible ones on here.
Yes, and I love that you don't even attempt to black out people's names.
What was that? What was the original one, Kelly? It was someone in a fight over a relationship or something. They were saying some terrible fucking things about each other.
Was it Crusty Musty?
I don't know if it was that. It might have been that one. It was fucking bad.
Yeah. It's weird though. We all get off on that shit. Like we'll all be scanning, then you just see, there's jokes about it where you just see two people fight and you're like, ooh, you just read it for 20 minutes. And you're like, what the fuck am I doing with my life?
No, you do read. There's one before the Prison City podcast. I was up in Alaska and I think Kelly or someone sent it to me and it was like hundreds of comments. And one of there, they actually started attacking Cutler Brothers out of nowhere. We're like, what the fuck did we get to do with this conversation?
Mess with the boy, you get the horns, my man.
Yeah. So let's check these out in the good spirit of.
Good
These are
spirit.
There's nothing good spirited about this.
Okay, so these are on a public Facebook page, publicly posted, so everybody can see these. So the first one, this is actually by Joe Crowder. This goes on to Joe Crowder is a good friend and a political guy, and he's talking about what we discussed. The year is 2027. The Montana State Prison used to be has now been replaced by the largest brand new state-of-the-art $1 million co-op slaughterhouse in Montana, owned by Montana ranchers processing Montana beef before it's shipped to China and Korea with new and better paying jobs, property tax from the county, helping Montana ranchers and families keep more money here than they go to out-of-state slaughterhouse and losing money on freight costs to get cattle there. Just throw this out there to say Montana beef industry is looking for a good location. Last he heard there are always opportunities beyond just we can see right now. Like that were to happen, Deros should come through better than it seemed at first. What do you think about that idea, Mahomes? Do you think that's a turn?
I see. Well, the beauty of that is the prison owns a ton of acreage right now, so you could actually like do that on prison land right now, and you don't have to destroy the prison economic system. So it's actually you don't need to move the prison to do it. You could just do it right now. So that's kind of a neat idea that he could just maybe float to his friends in the government.
Then there's a couple of things. Here's Jesse Mullen. He's the guy quoted earlier, with the exception of where MSP used to be. This is 100% way forward. Let me know if you're interested in talking about it. Tim Burnett here, just saying names. Whatever happens, that 35,000 acres state owned. It should stay that way. And
when Redgate gets super popular this fall and you make millions of dollars, you probably can't drop people's names anymore.
I mean, we should never be doing it. Just like,
oh, it's funny.
Oh, the losses are going to come in here in the next couple months to the year.
So when they do, let the record show I had no part in this. I never share my screen. I have no ill will towards anyone making their own remarks on Facebook.
Here's a novel idea. Instead of forming a committee, which will take months, and hiring outside help with taxpayers' money, why not have the mayor schedule a sit down with the governor and discuss this? It doesn't take a committee nor a genius to understand the negative impact moving the prison out of Gerald Lodge would have. And Jim Buck said exactly. Let me make sure I go all so we see all the comments.
I mean, yeah, that like really none of them are that bad. I get what Joel's trying to play devil's advocate, but like to Tim's point, there's 35,000 acres. Like you can just do it on the land that's already there. You don't need to shut the prison down.
Well, yeah, weren't they? Don't they like milk cows and do all kinds of like fucking farming out there as it is?
Yeah. It's not like they already have a very good cattle ranch that actually that's like, it's funny that they keep cutting funding from the prison, but the prison like makes its own money with the cattle. Right. They may have had to shut. I forget because I haven't obviously been as in tune with it in a while now. Gosh, a decade or so, which is crazy to think about. But someone said they had to either like stop operations for a while or maybe shutter that whole thing down, which would be terrible because that was a good operation, not only the milk, but then to either sell the cows or slaughter them and sell the meat. They were making good money off of that.
Man, I gotta say one thing too. This is the only time I've ever felt sorry for prisoners was during COVID. You heard some of those regulations about them being locked down for days and days and days and having to wear masks 24/7. I was like, man, I actually fucking feel sorry for those guys. That sounds somehow like more hell than just being in prison,
Yeah, I mean that's like it's a weird relationship you have with like prisoners because not all of them are like terrible people. They just made a shitty decision. You know what I mean? Right. So it's weird, but you definitely don't need to shut the prison down to build a cattle co-op. I just want to reinstate that.
Not the sidetrack here, but how surprised, Mahomes, are you that we're a month away from releasing our biggest film ever? I have not mentioned it once on this podcast so far.
Nothing you do surprises me, to be completely honest.
I wrote down releasing Redgate at the top of my notes, and then right off the bat when you said Demolition Derby, I was like, nope, that's where we're going.
And I didn't mean like I wasn't trying to be like a jerk. It literally is a huge economic engine, or was a huge economic engine.
What would you say if they moved the prison and then turned the current prison to a 24/7 demolition derby?
A 24/7, I would say that's impossible. Like, what's really funny is super sidetrack, quick story. Long time ago, I think I was still in high school. We were out to eat at Applebee's, and our waiter was like, "So, where are you guys from?" Because he was new to Montana. We said, "Oh, we're from Deer Lodge." He's like, "Oh man, you guys must host a ton of softball tournaments. You guys, the lights are always on outside of town. It must be a hell of a facility out there." And he wasn't like joking. He thought Deer Lodge was just like the softball hub of America.
He thought it was like Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
for softball.
Yeah, for like beer league softball.
Dude, you fly Pat. We flew from Bozeman to where was it? Seattle. We flew past Deer Lodge is the point, and that prison is fucking 10 times brighter than Deer Lodge in itself. You know, like, oh, there's the prison. Where's Deer Lodge?
You can start seeing the prison by right after you go over getting towards like Gale after Warm Springs. You can start seeing the prison at like fucking Warm Springs,
right?
If you're looking for it, like you can see it. I've been up way doing red gates. I've been way up there, and fucking every time we're way the fuck up here, it's like I can see those lights. Like, yep, that's the prison. Like, Don took me at this place. It's actually a private road or whatever because he has access to all these things, and it's fucking nuts. You can see all around Drummond, all these things. You can still see the fucking prison lights from there. It's crazy.
How many people are in prison out there?
I think it said 1,600 on that article.
So it's just a tiny bit smaller than Deer Lodge.
Yeah, it's if you added that population, this city was almost double in size.
So you said at one point it was almost like 2,000?
Yeah.
So it's the population has declined just like the town's population has declined. Do you think that has anything to do with the population of the town declining as the prison declining?
I mean, I
don't know.
I think there was probably just not enough space like for 2,000 people out there, like to be actually safe. And then there's the whole nother, like, you could do a whole nother episode on like the private prison system and the money that goes into that.
Yeah. Let's get back to those Facebook comments.
I thought that was it. I thought you did great.
There's quite a few in there. This one, I would not trust the state there saying it will not move the prison depending on who is going to benefit. It'll happen does I don't know what Laura or Gracie ring a bell means, but speak up, people. But speak up for Deer Lodge. Cool. And then this one, she's replying to this idea up here, which this guy's actually has some solid points. Really take Warm Springs. The oaf at the top said not one word about the issues and sat at not one committee meeting. He could give a shit what happens to us. High's a rich out-of-state asshole. Anyone want to interpret that one for me?
Who's the oaf at the top? Are you talking about Joel?
Or is he talking about like the mayor or the governor? I'm confused by that too.
We're going to take Warm Springs. The oaf at the top said one word about the issue. The fuck? What's Warm Springs have to do with this?
I don't know. I mean, is Warm Springs still going? Did that shut down too?
I don't
know. It's going, but Warm Springs is severely understaffed as well. I mean, I've read a lot of stuff about problems they've had, and somebody that works out there, O'Reilly, that was in Shawshank, he was talking about it. I said, so they fixed their staffing problems? Because he said they're paying better and stuff now. He goes, no, because everyone left. So they're being treated so, like dog shit. And then they fixed the payment, they're paying $20 an hour or whatever, and then nobody came back. So they're still severely understaffed.
That's another tough position. That's like another tough one to get people to go out to. So here we go. Come on now, Rock Creek Cattle Company wouldn't push this agenda just so they can accumulate state land and remove the eyesore of prison from their backyard. All you hear is how community oriented those folks are. So it must be the state doing this right, like the register officeman. So if people aren't familiar with watching the Rock Creek Cattle Company, is like they have a lot of people that work out there, but there's always been like a disconnect with Rock Creek Cattle Company and like kind of like the community of Deer Lodge, I would say a little bit, where it's like they don't really come into town. Well, I wouldn't say all, but there's always been a little bit of like, how can we benefit this to both of us, where it's like economically Rock Creek Cattle Company isn't like a huge benefit to Deer Lodge like the prison is. You understand that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think I remember when I was doing the construction out there, it always was like at that time, it felt like a great economic boost because they were hiring a bunch of local people. The people that were doing the construction, like the foremen, were living in town and going to the Broken Arrow and eating in town and doing all that. And I remember thinking, like, you know what, this actually won't be bad. Like, maybe every now and then they'll come down and maybe catch a show or eat dinner in town, and they avoid it. I mean, from what I can tell, the clientele out there are out there for that private area and want nothing to do with the city, the town folk.
And I can state for a fact, I'm not just mentioning the whole boycott Pat Cutler situation, but like there's a lot of situations up there that people that worked up there, but it's pretty fucked up. I've heard a lot of fucked up stories, like not from the people that go out there, the rich people or anything like that, but it's coming from a lot of people that worked up there. It sounds pretty fucked up. There's a lot of stories I could go off of. But there is a disconnect, almost like a rivalry, where it's like we go out to bars and they're like, oh shit, the Rock Creek people are here. Let's go somewhere else. Like, not necessarily on that level, but there is like this fucking like bridge or this gap or this invisible fence you might want to say, where it's like, yeah, they don't necessarily like us. We don't necessarily like them. Not talking about the people that already live that we already know in Deer Lodge, but talking about a lot of people that actually work out there that say, fuck, I'm never going into town.
Yeah, I've met a lot of nice people that live up at Rock Creek and stuff. And I mean, we've benefited. Cutler Brothers have some of them. I don't know how often they come, but I know at least every summer there's a person or two, maybe more, that come down and check out a show and shit. Even the owner of Rock Creek's wife, she came like 3 years in a row. So she supported us. She helped us, fix our roof on the theater and stuff like that. So I don't have much bad stuff to say about Rock Creek. And honestly, between Rock Creek and the prison rumors, I don't know if there's any connection there. I think people are just like saying that, again, these are all just rumors, but I don't think there hasn't been like a state legislature, hearing or whatever, where Rock Creek or somebody from Rock Creek has said, yeah, we need to get that prison out of town. I think that's just speculation. And people just people like to diss and hate on the rich. They really do. And it's like, well, he's got his resort up there. Do you think he really wants to, put that over the hill over to where the prison is, which isn't really that close in retrospect?
If you look at one of the rumors, though, was that Rock Creek was getting overly packed with clientele, that it didn't have enough land and resources to serve all the interest from clientele and stuff. So that was one of the driving factors behind them rumorly putting forth a bid to buy that land, which I don't know if I even trust that. How can you put a bid to buy land that's not
state owned?
Yeah, it's like, it's like.
I mean, and there's plenty of ranch the other way. There's the McGillis's ranch is towards Beck Hill. Like, there's plenty of ranch on the other side that, if they really wanted to, it's family owned. That I'm sure, if they signed a big enough check, people would be happy to take it.
I've done a lot of driving up in the hills with Don Brown, who works for a lot of these, like, I'm talking about mega rich that own. You'd be surprised how much mega rich people from like Seattle, wherever, own fucking tons of land around Deer Lodge in this area, and there's a lot of family owned places too. There's a lot of land around Deer Lodge that he could buy up if he really wanted to, and change it into, whatever, But I wonder how many people like in Deer Lodge that, like, because it's weird with Rock Creek. They used to do, I don't know how they do it now, but they take people from like out of town or whatever and house them in this old downtown hotel that doesn't exist anymore. So they take a lot of people from out of town and put them up, and then they work at Rock Creek. So how many people like actually work full time at Rock Creek and live in Deer Lodge, do you think?
I don't know. Kelly would probably have a better idea than me, because when I did it, it was, it's still being built, and it was basically 99% local Deer Lodge people were out doing the construction on the whole thing.
I don't know full time, but I mean seasonal definitely. Plenty of people live in Deer Lodge, but most of the people that I hear that work out there, like in the summers, it's like high school students or kids coming home from college and shit. So I don't know what an employee's. They tore down the hotel, like Pat said. So did they put them somewhere else? Probably not. I mean, there's no fucking place to live in this town. You can't find a rental, a house. You can't find anything. And yeah, when they were building it, like Mahogany says, even where I'm sitting right now upstairs at our apartment complex, they rented this out to like 8 Rock Creek employees or 8 construction employees that were working. But yeah, I don't know. And I'd like to see like the tax revenue or how all that shit works, because I don't really know what the contribution to Deer Lodge is, if anything. I mean, it's got to be something because they're in Powell County, but it's an interesting thing, and I don't know if it's good or bad.
Yeah. I mean, I know probably 4 or 5 people at the top of my head that I know for a fact basically get work full-time out there and live in Deer Lodge. But you're right. A major problem, you're talking about the prison, whether it be Rock Creek or the prison, when it comes to staffing, is like, fuck, there's nothing here. Like, price-wise for like a single family working at the mill or working at the prison or working at Rock Creek. There's like nothing here there's nothing for rentals. Like there's zero for rentals pretty much.
Right.
But for like buying a house, the house prices right now are fucking insane. So it's like you come here, work at the prison, and then buy a house, and now you're fully committed. And now I guess the prison's moving. So no.
I was gonna say, I was just gonna make the joke. Like, sounds like you just got to wait a few years because the housing market's gonna absolutely tank.
It's gonna take big time.
You'll be able to buy up like the entire College Avenue where I grew up. You'll be able to buy that whole avenue for like $100,000, and if they move the prison.
Probably, but yeah, it's weird. Like you have a lot of people from California, a lot of rich people buying up properties here and renting it out or staying there seasonally. So I think that's like driving up the price of housing too.
Yeah. I think you close down the prison and move it, man. You just killed 2 birds with 1 stone, because you just ended the housing market problem in Deer Lodge. You got 400 cells you can rent out, on a monthly basis.
Yeah, and sewer, water.
Yeah.
God,
all your health care makes no sense.
What if that would be if they close down the prison? What if you turn that into a huge fucking motel?
A resort. Maybe that's what old Foley's thinking about. I was thinking they'd let us do our creep show there next year, and we could get a bunch of hate mail again. People were raped in that place.
Creep shows in the prison.
Can you imagine that shit though?
No. Not at all.
Jim Cameron sitting in a real electric chair. Okay, here they come. Here comes the group. He hits the wrong switch.
All right. I don't know what the other thing is that we're supposed to talk about.
I don't think we're going to get to that tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to do that if that's what we're trying to do.
But it's going to take more than 30 minutes. There's 48 laws. You can't spend 5 seconds on each one.
Maybe we should just talk about like 2 or 3 laws per episode until we got through all of them.
All right, let's do that. Let's do that then. Actually,
see, man, this guy should run for city council and maybe save the
Law
city.
number 1. Just start reading.
Here is the 48 Laws of Power. Are you familiar with this book at all, Mahomes?
I've never heard of it until you said, "Hey, we should do a show about this."
All right. So, if you actually read books like I do, you'll be familiar with this one.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're the president of a book club.
Hey, Mahomes, it must be nice to have money. I say that every week now.
Man, folks, when he's not making viral Napoleon TikToks, apparently he's a regular bookworm.
So this book came out in 1989, and I'll just go to the Wikipedia page. It kind of goes through it pretty well here. I'm going to share my screen here. Wikipedia. So I thought it was an interesting book because it talks about Uncle Tony actually recommended this book to me. It talks about a lot of celebrities have used this book. A lot of people actually. It's kind of weird. It says, where does it say? Like, oh, here. Let me go back here. Right down here. The book is right down here. The book is popular with prison inmates and celebrities. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a good segue. Very well done.
So, but it gives you, it's one of those books that gives you a whole different kind of perspective on life, the game of life, and things, and how to do things. A lot of the book, in my opinion, is how to, in a lot of ways, disconnect yourself a lot of emotionally to every single fucking situation that happens, and try to look at things through a wider perspective. And it has, if you've read books like How to Win Friends and Influence People, things of that nature, it's kind of like the same kind of mentality of rules of kind of how to deal with people and how to get through life, deal with people, and done a lot of great advice on that. And that's kind of the overall theme of the book. Sold over 1.2 million copies, translated to 24 different languages. 50 Cent actually became friends with the guy, the author, and he actually did a follow-up to this book called The 50th Law, and it's called Fear Nothing, which is kind of a cool. I started reading that book too. That was kind of an interesting book. But yeah, that's kind of the overview of the book. You know, you might call it self-help or professional development, or whatever you might call it. But that's kind of overview. It's like using these laws to kind of make decisions on different situations in your life and stuff like that. So with that said, let's see what all the prisoners are talking about here. So I'll just you can read. So I didn't even actually read the book.
Of course you didn't. Of course you didn't.
He opened this whole thing. I'm quite the reader. I actually read books, Mahoney.
For anyone who actually reads, you've probably heard of this book.
5 minutes later, I didn't actually read the book per se.
I actually just read I skimmed the Wikipedia page, and I pretty much got it.
There's a condensed audio book.
Well, when I saw I saw the book online or whatever, it was like 500 or 600 pages. I'm not reading that fucking shit. So
That's fun.
Yeah. But you can find like if you're talking about like 48 laws, I just want to like see the actual fucking laws. I don't need every example and history of it. And that's what the book does. It goes through all these different examples of how the law was applied throughout history and things. So what I wanted to do is if you're ever like the main information, you can look at book summaries. There's one called Blinkist that's really good that goes through summaries, but just type in book summary and you can get the most the gist out of the book without actually having to read the fucking thing.
Hey, it's like Army of Darkness, Pat, the author. Did you read the book? Yeah, basically I read it. Listen, I read your book. Now send me back.
So what I'm presenting tonight is I went through and found a page that gives a summary of all the laws that kind of gives you an idea of what they're talking about. And that's what we'll be discussing tonight. There's a guy that has a TikTok, and his TikTok is basically what I'm going to present tonight. His TikTok is he says one of the laws, and he gives a basic background of the law, which is kind of interesting. That's a really interesting TikTok. He just goes through every fucking law and gives like some information on it. So here tonight, the first law is never outshine the master. Make your masters appear more brilliant than they are, and you will attain the heights of power. When it comes to power, outshining the master is perhaps the worst mistake of all. Never take your position for granted, and never let any favors you receive go to your head. So what do you think about that one?
I've actually read through, these when he gave it to me on Christmas 2 years ago. So I was always wondering, that one's one that I always had questions about. So like the master, is that like I'm trying to become like the world's greatest golfer or something? So then I have this great coach, and then I'm trying to show that great coach up. Is that essentially what that means? Like,
I think it means like an employee type boss situation, or like a mentorship type situation is what I think it's referring to, in that sense, where it's like you don't want to have this great mentor or this great boss, and then you just show up day one and just try to show the guy up or something like that.
I got you. Yeah, that's what I figured it meant.
That was how I interpreted it. Is always, you want to do the best you can, but you always want to make sure that the boss knows they're the boss, I guess, is my interpretation of that.
Yeah, I think and it applies to like if someone has like 20. A lot of times, back in the apprenticeship day, the guy that you would go do an apprenticeship with has like fucking 20 or 30 years of experience. So you don't want to like just show up and be like, oh yeah, I fucking know everything. I'm actually,
like Scott Ranf and Glengarry Glen Ross.
Oh jeez, yeah, it's like Scott.
Hey, can we do this without interruption, please?
No, Scott Ranf got a cast in the play, and I was glad he did it, but he like missed a bunch of lines. Like, no, I got it. Let's go. I got it. I was like, no, you don't fucking got it. You got the wrong line dead.
You guys all know Scott Ranf. He lives at 4991 Buckwheat Avenue, Missoula, Montana. Got his phone number, actually, if we want to just put it on the bottom of this podcast.
Not that we haven't done that before.
Obviously, Ramp's like putting together this huge documentary for Cutler Brothers, so we should probably send our kudos to him.
Hey,
right, Mahomes?
Yeah.
And just so no one's listening. I'm just saying this for myself. I just looked up 4991 Buckwheat Avenue, and it's not a real place. So he was just saying that. He was making it up. That's not a real address.
All right, the good news is we're now going to segue to the next part of this podcast. Right now, guys, here we go.
Facebook comment section.
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun.
There can't be. It's not like you have a Facebook comment section on the first rule of power. Like, there's no way you got that dialed up.
I just do that every 5 minutes.
No, hey, and Mahomes, you're wrong. My mom did listen to this podcast last week. She said she listened until the first F word.
Oh, so she didn't make it past the opening commercial?
I like those ones.
She didn't listen to the show. She heard the first 3 seconds of a commercial, and that was that.
After the fourth F-bomb, I was done. Okay, so what? 30 seconds in?
3 seconds in, more like it.
Most of the show, we don't actually cuss that much, to tell you the truth. It's just here and there. It's like,
no, just the first 10 minutes. That's the worst, folks. You've made it this far.
You can survive that. I mean,
right.
This is true. This is basically just us talking and recording it. Like, there's no one's gonna listen to this.
Oh.
No one. This is essentially like if we had cameras and we were sitting like at a bar. That's what's going on here.
Hey, when my kids grow up, I'm gonna fucking make them sit down and listen to this shit. All right? God damn it!
I look at it as like kind of a diary of everything we've done.
Hi, Dax.
Yeah.
Don't talk about my kids. God damn it!
Now, what is the deal with you guys' inside joke? I just don't get. You're either high or stoned or something.
All right, Pat, on to Law 2. We got 48 of these to go through tonight.
Tonight, before we leave.
I think 3 an episode's good, and then we can round the old horses. Or we can just call Matt in and have him do like 20-minute monologue on everything we talked about.
Yeah, I haven't been on Messenger. I just assume he got pissed off and quit.
Yeah, he's probably long gone, is my guess.
All right, Law 2 on this is a cool one. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. But hire a former enemy and he will be more loyal than a friend because he has more to prove. In fact, you have more to fear from friends than enemies. If you have no enemies, find a way to make them. Since honesty rarely strengthens friendship, you may never know how a friend truly feels. Friends will say that they love your poetry, adore your music, envy your taste in clothes. Maybe they mean it. Often they do not. The key to power then is the ability to judge who is best able to further your interest in all situations. Keep friends for friendship, but work with skilled and competent. And that one's really fucking interesting because, I think Tilly's a really good friend, but getting wasted at the Montana bar every weekend is not going to further my interests. Would you agree with that, Mo?
Honestly, the first thing I thought when you were reading this is like, oh, so that's why Pat's been pissing everybody off. If you don't have any enemies, make them. You took this one too literal, I think.
I read this over a year ago, and I just really wanted to apply it.
Yeah, like there was one line that really stuck with you. It was like rule 2.
What do you think about that, Kelly?
Well, again, I've read all these, so I know that we're not going through all of them tonight, but I feel like some of these are contradictory, and maybe we can get to that, in the coming weeks as we add more to our slate. But yeah, some of them I'm like, well, it kind of said do the opposite in this one, and then blah, blah, blah. But anyways, on its own, this one, I think you really got to toe the line, because the whole thing, the whole umbrella here is to the laws of power. You want to gain power, become powerful. So I think if you just go and piss everyone off and make a bunch of enemies, I don't think that's going to serve the purpose that maybe you're looking for. I think you need to do it creatively, creatively keep your enemies close. And if that makes any sense, like a coercion type thing, instead of just like, hey, fuck you got a small dick. That guy's not going to help you out, and as far as your friends, it's like, I guess it depends on who your friends are, because I feel like the closest people to me are fairly honest, and maybe we're a different breed because like Das Fruit and shit, like people, we just show up and say what's on our mind. Like Jim Cameron, Zane Cosby, those guys have no problem like just saying, oh, you look like you gained an extra 10 pounds or whatever is on their minds. Like the truth comes out. It's like we're constantly roasting each other. And a roast is basically people just saying, what the mild truth is about each other. If that makes sense.
And I agree with that. Just a little background just on the author a little bit. He was working as a writer in Hollywood and had concluded at the time through working in Hollywood that the elite shared similar traits. And I think he probably dealt with a lot of fake people. I think in society there's a lot of fucking fake people. I think I could go through girls, and a lot of girls, and it's a lot of it's based on biology, but a lot of girls aren't real friends with their girlfriends or whatever. And the second something happens, like that guy gets married or whatever, they'll just say, fuck it, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. So I think there are a lot of situations similar to that he's kind of referring to. What stands out to me though is this is the last line here. It really meant a lot to me, is that the ability to judge who is best able to further your interests in all situations, because sometimes the person who's best able to further your interests is not necessarily your best friend at the time, but maybe one of your enemies. And that's where it says, like, you talk about like maybe someone like me, like, oh, you hold a bunch of grudges, but after a while it's like there's no point in holding a grudge against somebody if you can look at them and say, okay, this person is in a position to really help further my interests. And maybe like some people that used to be on this podcast or whatever, I'm not going to hold a grudge forever, because again, they might feel they have more to prove this time around. But yeah, I wouldn't consider them enemies though at the same time either. So I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, 100%. If people can assist you in furthering your interest, yeah, 100%. I agree with that too. And that's why I've gotten a lot of shit in my life for like, man, you're too forgiving. Like, why do you forgive? Like people acting almost like I'm stupid because I've forgiven people in the past. It's like, there's going to come a time where I just don't forgive them anymore. And I've drawn that line. I've quit on people because it's not worth it anymore. But if they can still bring something to my table, I'm okay with going, yeah, you're a fucking piece of shit. You completely fucked me over, knowing that in my head, but knowing like I'm going to squeeze the last bit of juice that I can out of this motherfucker to further my interests, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And again, these are situational based things. They're not meant to be taken literally. Like, Mahomes, any final words on that one?
I mean, that one's an interesting one to me, I guess, in terms of power. Just like that, I guess somewhat makes sense in terms of how I want to live my life. I don't have any interest in that. I want my friends to, like, the people I trust the most are pretty much, I'm talking to them right now. So you guys know everything about me. Like, to Kelly's point, I don't think there's a time where you guys are like not afraid to be honest with me if I'm not being like, if I'm being kind of douchey or whatever. And yeah, also Kelly actually has probably made me become a little more forgiving. I'm a grudge holding son of a bitch. I've said that on here before. So it's better for me to like get better at it, especially as I get older and become a parent. Some little kid's gonna say something to my little girl that's gonna piss me off, and I'm gonna hate that kid forever. No, like I gotta get over that. But for me, I don't know. Like, in general, am I looking to become like the most powerful person in the world? No, So I guess maybe I'm not looking for that. I'm looking to be like a good dad and husband and friend, and make enough to make my family happy and comfortable. So I guess maybe that rule isn't for me.
Yeah. I think situation. I think there are times, kind of going back to what Kelly kind of mentioned, there are times to cut someone off and be like, okay, this is not working out right now. And there's also times to say, okay, this person's beneficial, so let's work something out, not get emotional and hold grudges or whatever. So yeah, that's an interesting one.
Well, and like we might as well talk about it on here. We've talked about, you don't have to be best friends with somebody to further your agenda. Like every show we do at the theater, for instance, is furthering our agenda. And I mean, I hope anybody that does the show there is getting something out of it, or it's like, why the fuck are you even here? Even though, I think some people are there just because it's a hangout social thing to do. But I mean, we want to further our agenda. We want to become more professional. We want to have packed crowds. We want to make movies and all this shit. So I will put up with someone's bullshit if I need them, to further that agenda. But we've talked lately, it's not like the old days. Mahoney knows, we've come kind of almost full circle with like, we don't just invite anybody to like our camp trip anymore, or like, play games in the backyard or go get drunk. It's like, we're almost in our 40s. It's like, I would rather spend my time and energy furthering that agenda than fucking playing tiddlywinks and trying to make another best friend. It's like, you can only have so many friends. I mean, I got 3 brothers. How many fucking friends can I have? It's like, you can only have so many real friends in your life.
That's what John Kerry or Uncle John would say. He's like, you only have really like 3, 4, 5 legit friends in this world. That's just the truth.
Right. But I used to have the energy to put up with everyone's bullshit and go, oh, no. Yeah, he does shitty things, but I can make him one of my best friends. And I just felt like that was what I had to do to to further that agenda again. But you don't have to be fucking best friends. If they're not working with you to further their own agenda in some capacity, then I don't know what they're doing there,
And I'd say, going back to the whole thing about not taking things, like talking about what Mahone says, like not taking everything so fucking personal. Like if someone blocks me or they don't like me for a certain period of time, it's like, but then they show up and they're just right there to help me with fucking everything. It's dumb for me to be like, no, fuck you. I remember last year you blocked me into this, blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, if someone supports you all of a sudden out of nowhere, you don't have to be best fucking friends with them, but you shouldn't also just tell them to go fuck themselves. Like, I know she blocked me or he blocked me or blah, blah, blah. You should honestly use those people to your advantage, because this time around they probably have a lot more to fucking prove than before.
Right.
Anyways, let's go on to Law 3 here. It's called, this is a bit of a paragraph here. Law 3 is conceal your intentions. This one's really fucking interesting, actually, and I found it to be pretty effective. Use decoyed objects and desires and red herrings to throw people off the scent. Hide your intentions not by closing up with the risk of appearing secretive and making people suspicious, but by talking endlessly about your desires and goals, just not your real ones. You will kill 3 birds with 1 stone. You appear friendly, open, and trusting. You conceal your intentions, and you send your rivals on time-consuming wild goose chases. You smoke screens to disguise your actions. This derives from a simple truth. People can only focus on one thing at a time. It is really too difficult for them to imagine that the bland and harmless person they are dealing with is simultaneously setting up something else. As Kierkegaard wrote, the world wants to be deceived. And this is one that I go through my head a lot of times. Like, a lot of times you come out and say exactly what you're going to do. People will intentionally or unintentionally accidentally get in your fucking way. I've found that happen over and over and over again, where if you kind of send them on a wild goose chase, it's a lot harder to get in your way. What do you think about this, Kelly?
Yeah, I read that one this morning too. It's really fucking interesting. I think there's another one that I've come a long ways on, because I've always been like, oh, I'm so fucking excited about this idea and whatnot. And usually I don't care, like some people they'll say, oh yeah, I'm writing a book about, about birds. Oh, that's fucking stupid. You're right. I quit. But I've never really had that problem. Like, I've always just wanted to share, like, hey, this is a funny script idea, or I want to do this show, or I want to, I've never had a problem divulging my plans to people, because it doesn't hurt my feelings if they I expect them to say negative things back because that's just what most people do. You know what I mean? But as far as like the other part, kind of like saying things that aren't necessarily true, to deceive them or whatever that middle part said. I don't know about that just because it seems like it's a little bit of, it's a little unnecessary unless unless you're too fragile, I guess, to say your true plans. Because what am I trying to say? If you expect people just to be negative about your true plans, then you're never let down because they're always going to be negative about everything that you do.
There's a lot to unravel there, and I think my perception of that or translation of that is you can manipulate people to do certain things by running them on wild goose chases that you are running yourself, and that's a lot more complicated than just on the surface. That's a long discussion, but what do you think about that, Mahomes?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, in a business sense, it would be, I guess it kind of makes a lot of sense. Like if you have a really good idea, right? Like you have this new thing that you think is going to be really good, it would make sense to almost tell people you're going to work on the opposite thing. So then you can really focus your time, energy, and effort onto the thing that you are convinced is going to be good. And then when it's time for you to roll it out, everyone is, I guess this is like, it's a long-winded way of saying like you're playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers, I think is really what this is.
1,000%.
Yeah.
But I would say kind of some examples, just my personal life. Redgate, when those actors and actresses that boycotted it or whatever, refused to do the post-production audio on it, I came out and told them this is what I'm going to do, blah, 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 this is what I'm going to do. And it's like, they somehow still got in my way because people, it's like human nature almost to do that shit. But I'll say the positive side of like boycott Pat Cutler and all that shit and all that stuff going on is like, I put all that shit out there and it gives me so much fucking space to myself to work on what I'm really working on. And it's like people are worried about this or that or whatever, and they're not like focused, and I can have time to myself to focus on what I'm really working on, and they're focused on something completely fucking different. You do get space to yourself to like work on what you're really trying to do. If that makes sense to you, Kelly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just I don't know, it's tough. Like I like sharing ideas with people. Maybe it's more people that are close to me, which I think is a different story, because they're not strangers. Like, hey, I want to open a pizza joint, call it Prison Pizza. Oh, you fucking idiot! I like sharing exciting news and exciting stories with people. I think the most annoying thing, which is no offense to anybody, is like when I'm excited about something and I'm telling like, yeah, so this is how this works, and then I'm doing this and this and this, and like I'll just say like our dad's a great example. Sometimes it's hard to have a conversation because he'll just look at your blank face. He's not getting it or not even listening. And it's like that's more annoying to me than like somebody being negative, because if you're negative, at least you're listening to what I'm saying. And then again, sometimes I think maybe some of my ideas are just like only I or very few people could be excited about them. So a lot of that stuff I just keep to myself because it's just, I don't have the energy to fucking, have someone not listen to my excitement.
Would you? It is tough because there's certain people that, again, it goes back to like your best friends you can talk to about them. They're always support what you want to do, but like it is like you have to work really fucking hard on. Like I have pretty much a bulletproof mindset on Redgate right now. There's no one that's going to fucking, I don't care if it's a producer from Hollywood. I don't give a fuck who it is. There's no one that's going to take me off my block right now. But that takes a long fucking time to develop sometimes. But yeah, talking about the folks, I was like, I dressed today. It wasn't really like an argument. It was more of a joke. It's like you guys, like our parents probably much that different. They call everything fucking expensive. It's like, do you realize that's a really negative thing to say? That you're basically saying you don't have enough money to afford a $10 fucking gas cap or whatever. It's like the most meaningless things. Like that's expensive. Look, it's like it's $12 fucking bucks. So it's like today I was like, okay, well if that's expensive, then I guess I can't fill up the car because it's 3 times as much. So I'd have to have fucking Bill Gates money to do that, I guess.
Yeah,
that's yeah.
They're kind of stuck. They're from a different era too. So I just don't know if they're gonna ever change that. But yeah, I've run into that before too. It's just like, oh, and that's just Butch, and that's why you gotta love him because he is who he is. because he'll fucking drive 20 miles to save $1. You know what I mean? The chicken strips at Albertsons in Missoula, Kelly, they're 3 for $5. So instead of going to State Point Deer Lodge, you'll drive to Missoula.
Yeah, I tried that conversation. It's like, yeah, it's just like fucking throwing a tennis ball off a fucking wall. It's kind
It's like throwing a hot dog down a hallway. Makes no sense.
It's like, Pat, I fixed the steering wheel on the prison pizza car that I drive to work every day. It's really fucked up today. So Butch went in and bought this Jello whatever to put in it, and now it works fine. And Pat's like, yeah, it works so well now. Or I squared stuff in. I'm glad it's working now. But man, that was expensive. I was like, really? How much was it? $12. I was like, what? It's like, do you have any idea what that would cost if you took it into like a fucking mechanic shop and they had to fix it for you? It's just like,
I mean, at least $12.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're from a different time, so I just chalk it up to that. It's kind of nice and nostalgic and stuff in a way, because sometimes Dad will say something, and I'm just like, oh, that's fucking. It takes you back 20 years or 25 years, and I kind of like it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how we got on.
I'm going to be laughing about that example.
Are you? Yeah.
I'm just going to be laughing. I'm going to find myself laughing in the shower tomorrow about your driving to Missoula to get chicken strips example. Shit's funny.
Well,
I think though, to put my pin in number 3, conceal your intentions. I think that is important to do that, except for in your nucleus of people, which is right here, and our family and stuff. I get really annoyed when we'll talk about doing a show or something, and then my mom tells somebody else or whatever, that's not really in our inner circle. And I just think that you should conceal your intentions, except for the people that are working with you on that common goal, your closest confidants.
The other thing about, and look at social media marketing, like you can't market a fucking product. Like you can't be like, come see the Nebraska Cornhuskers open their season against Iowa, and they show up and it's like a little kitty carnival or something. It's like, so you can only do it to some extent.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it doesn't really work that way.
Yeah, not in marketing, it doesn't really fucking work. Like, yeah, you gotta tell them what you're actually selling them.
Right.
So here, Mahomes, I'm gonna just I don't got time for another rule, unfortunately, because the next one's kind of long. But let's go share next week's topic here. Here we go. Next week we're gonna be honoring an American hero here. There he is. The American hero Barry Beach, who somehow himself overruled.
Mahomes is excited about that one.
You guys sure you don't want to talk about the moon landing?
Hey, do you think Barry Beach used the 48 laws of power to get out of prison?
I mean, you said it's popular with inmates. He's right now. I think he's using this one right now. He's distracting people. He's using that thing.
But next week we might talk about. I don't know what we're talking about next week. Actually, I'm still kind of formulating it. I talked to Kelly. One of the ideas I had is like we haven't done it on this new format. Is like screening like the movie Going Nowhere, but not screening like the whole film. Just like watching segments of it and then talking about it. That could be like a shitload of fun on here. Because I can pause the video here and skip ahead, and like we don't have to sit here and watch like the whole like 5 hour. Going Nowhere is actually 5 hours now. But yeah, but that'd be a shitload of fun.
Yeah, is that the director's cut?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be a lot of fun.
Because I was thinking the other day is like fucking Matt was in that drinking in the middle of track season. Like some of those scenes, like
I mean,
yeah, he was trying to have a good time,
man. Different times.
He wasn't close to 21. I don't know who was all 21 on that set. Were you 21 then?
I don't remember. When was that film? 2005?
It would shoot. So it came back from 2004. Would have been the Montana Tech. It would have been 2005.
No, I was 20.
I was for sure not 21.
So on the set of us drinking all the time, only one person was actually 21.
Yes. How do you think we got the beer? The 21-year-old had to buy it.
I know. That is fucking funny. I never thought about that doing a show about drinking. Not a single one of us is 21. Except for me. That's funny. But yeah, that's gonna be an upcoming episode. Obviously we're launching Redgate in fucking a month, so I want to bring Don back on for a show, especially if one of our guys is gonna leave randomly 10 minutes into the show.
Yeah, he just needs some better equipment. I got some headphones if he wants to borrow, but
I just get annoyed because I've stated over and over you need headphones unless cell phones seem to work fine without headphones. But beyond that, if you're using a computer like his, it's just going to revert back into the fucking computer over and over again. So it's like
we should do a test before next week because it's been a problem ever since he said he got some like a microphone or something like that. It's been a problem since he did whatever new thing he did. So we should do some tests and figure it out.
Yeah. I just
before he disowns all of us motherfuckers.
I know. It's like one to suggest a headphone, but it's like with that computer, what he really needs is a mic plugged into it, and he needs a fucking headphone set.
Yeah.
But I have a mic headphone set here that you could probably use. It's probably similar to Feldy's or whatever. But he needs a fucking something to change that. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So here we go, boys. Let's round those horses tonight. I'll start with Kelly. We want final thoughts on the prison or whatnot, or what do we got here?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we nailed a bunch of different topics, and I'm not really that concerned about the prison right now. I'm more concerned about the Astros somehow getting their shit pushed in by the A's. Not that I have my entire mortgage on it. But you know what? I'm going to go back to the 48 laws of power, and I'm never going to outshine the master. The Astros are the master, and they just hit a home run. So I've learned my lesson. It's the worst fucking ending speech ever.
Yeah. So I'd say, Mullins, we went from I knew the fucking prison was not going to be a 5-minute conversation, so I kind of felt like the laws of power would get kind of the backseated, but I don't think we'd be able to get through the laws of power on a regular show, anyways. So I like the idea going forward that we're going to do this couple rules here or there.
And next week we're talking about one. You should bring Mike Freeze on. I think he'll like this one. It's always say less than necessary.
That's the next law. That's a few of the next. Always say less than necessary is the actual next one. So,
we'll get Mike. Love you, buddy.
Hey, we'll have Savala and Mike Freeze.
He's not watching. You don't have to apologize.
So, Mahomes, your final words for the night.
Interesting episode. I think the power stuff is. I kind of like not knowing what it is, so then I can hear it and react to it for the first time. And then, the prison stuff makes no sense. It makes as much sense as us all starting to shit in the sink and expecting that to be just as fine as shitting in the toilet. That's how much sense that makes. So I can't imagine it gets too far. But anyway, laws of power.
Yeah, it's just cool. My final statement I would say is it's just cool that tonight it only took us 57 minutes into the show to get to the actual topic of the show.
Not bad. That's we're pretty consistent.
Like a week ago, I was like, "This is exactly what we're talking about," and we talked about nothing but something else as a prison thing came up. Obviously, this episode was a little bit different, but it is funny how the main topic we always plan on and never really gets to it till the end. But I think everything's going well. No update on the whole voodoo stuff last week. I have nothing to say about that. I wanted to go more deeper into the 48 laws of power and all these different things, but I think next week will be a good show to do that also on. Actually, I have no idea what we're going to do next week. If another thing comes up that's a fun opening topic like that, I did like how we had a really good opening topic and then went to the 48 laws of power. Something like that where it's like a 50-50 show is pretty cool. My final words, tonight, I just have something I want to tell Mahomes. This comes deep from my heart, and here it is. The Facebook comment section. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun.
You just Just got that button at the ready now, don't you?
The Facebook comment section. That's the first official segment on the Prison City podcast. All right, everybody. It's been fun tonight. Peace out. We'll see you guys next week. We'll probably be later in the week next week, probably Wednesday or something like that next week. And we'll see you guys back here next time. Peace.
See you, bitches.
See ya.